It's very stiff, so I have to swap it all out.
We're going live.
Hi,
I am Marina, Liaros, Naples, and this is May 2023, and this is our monthly metaphysical discussion group. And this month I am presenting what we all discuss and share our experiences, knowledge, skill, offering tips and viewpoints, and you are welcome to do the same here as well. And so everything metaphysical, spiritual, it's a monthly gathering. No one's doing readings, no one's offering readings and or anything like that. This is a discussion group so we can learn together. We are located over in Sun City, Florida, in a home, and it's a very casual, very laid-back gathering, and you'll be here with us over the next couple of hours. So settle in, get comfy, and let's have some fun and learn together. So I am going to turn this around and get it going. This month is the topic I chose is The Secret Life of Plants, and that is after the same name of a book that was written by Christopher Thompkins and Peter Byrd. Both are deceased, but there's plenty of information online about them, and I have one of those too, ma'am. Can't do that very much. And also Christopher Byrd also wrote another book, and that is The Divining Hand, the 500-year-old mystery of dowsing. So I'll be sharing some information here that I pulled up and sharing some experiences that I've had with plants. And so I'd be interested in hearing if you also have had experiences with plants in some manner or way. So everybody has a printout? Okay. All right. So we are going to begin here. I chose The Secret Life of Plants over the couple of the other titles that I could have chosen because it was a very compelling and intriguing title. And these two, these authors, what they did is they did experiments back in the 70s. And what they did is they ended up hooking up lie detector tests to different plants, and then they held different experiments with them, and I'm going to explain those a bit here, and not in detail, I mean, but for instance, what they did, one of the more popular ones that people tend to remember is where they hooked the plants up to the lie detector tests and left the room, and they had this murderer come in, and there was another plant in the room, and they went over and tore up the leaves and ripped it apart and stomped on it and everything, so basically like murdering the plant. They walked out. And then after that, they had different people walk into the room one at a time, and the plants really didn't react or anything until that person, the murderer, walked back in. And on the lie detector machine, it went crazy because the plant recognized this person who came in and tore up the other plant.
The first one who did the things with the lie detector was Cleve Baxter. He worked for the government as a lie detector expert, and he's the original one that found that plants react. And he discovered that quite accidentally.
And a lot of botanists ended up ridiculing them. And pseudoscience and quackery and no way, no such way, and trying to say that because of the cell makeup of like mammals, for instance, us and other animals, versus a plant, that they don't have the same cell structure. But when you have these experiments and it's proving that they do react, they can sense, they do interact. I've had happen a number of times, and I used to before we would spend time up north and down south, is I had a lot of house plants, and I will go around and water the plants. And the first time it happened is I was watering the plants. Oh, good, that's done. I got everybody, and I started walking into the kitchen to put the container away, and I heard very clearly, "You forgot me." And I thought, what in the world is that? So I said, so, you just shake your head and keep walking. I kept walking back into the kitchen. And I heard it again. You forgot me. And I thought, no way. I mean, really? So I went around, and sure enough, there was one plant that I did not water. So I went and got the water and watered it and apologized. But I've had that happen a few different times, and there are other times I'm busy and I don't pay attention, if I've watered the plant or not, because I got caught up in daily work and everything. And I'm so thirsty. I'm thirsty. I can't quench my thirst. What in the world? And I go, you know what? I wonder if I didn't water the plants. And I go over, sure enough, they were thirsty. So I went and would water the plants. And that happens pretty regularly with me with the plants. And so I have to tell them, okay, just give me, like 5 minutes. So there's this, they seem to have found a pathway to communicate with me. I'm a pretty grounded person. But
you have a green thumb too. Things grow for you.
Yes, yeah, they do. And, so I will talk with my plants, and I have a friend who actually she'll play certain types of music for the plant, put certain type of television shows on for the plants because she says they like those television shows. And so, but no, I don't do that, but I do communicate, and you look great today. Thanks for blooming the flower. And but yeah, so I've heard that on a number of different occasions of that in my own experience. So I'm going to read for you because you're there and you don't have the paper. I can make it a PDF and email it to you if you'd like. Just you can give me your email address or send me a message. So The Secret Life of Plants, a fascinating account of the physical, emotional, and spiritual relations between plants and man by Christopher Thompkins and Peter Byrd. The book includes experiments on plant stimuli using a polygraph, a method which was pioneered by Clive Baxter. Parts of the book attempt to disparage science, particularly plant biology, for example, by claiming science is not concerned with what makes plants live, in order to promote its own viewpoint that plants have emotions. The authors further say that the authorities are unable to accept that emotional plants might originate in a supra-material world of cosmic beings such as fairies, elves, gnomes, sylphs, and hosts of other creatures, were a matter of direct vision and experience to clairvoyance among the Celts and other sensitivities. That's taken from Wikipedia. And as I said, both authors are deceased. Christopher Byrd also authored the book, The Divining Hand, 500-year-old mystery of dowsing. And now the next person that I pulled up here is Mancuso, as he also went along with the same lines. Do plants have intelligence? Do they have memory? Are they better problem solvers than people? A fascinating paradigm shifting work that upends everything you thought you knew about plants. Makes a compelling scientific case that these and other astonishing ideas are all true. If you let a drop of water fall on a mimosa pudica, and I don't know if I'm saying that incorrectly or not, its knee-jerk response is to recoil its leaves, but if you continue doing so, the plant will quickly cotton that the water is harmless and stop reacting. The plants can hold on to this knowledge for weeks, even when their living conditions, such as lighting, are changed. That was unexpected because we were thinking about very short memories in the range of 1 to 2 days, the average memory of insects, says Mancuso. To find that plants were able to memorize for 2 months was a surprise, not least because they don't have brains. One of the most controversial aspects of Mancuso's work is the idea of plant consciousness. As we learn more about animal and plant intelligence, not to mention human intelligence, the always contentious term consciousness has become the subject of ever more heated scientific and philosophical debate. Let's use another term, Mancuso suggests. Consciousness is a bit tricky in both our languages. Let's talk about awareness. I lost my place.
Plants are perfect.
No, I just lost my place on the paper.
Yeah.
Plants are perfectly aware of themselves. A simple example is when one plant overshadows another. The shaded plant will grow faster to reach the light, but when you look into the crown of a tree, all the shoots are heavily shaded. They do not grow fast because they know they are shaded by part of themselves. So they have a perfect image of themselves and of the outside, says Mancuso. He's authored 45 books, so he has much more information to share, and you can readily find him online as well. So I'm going to stop there just for a moment and ask if anybody here who's got houseplants, there? Everybody, but you too? You do? Okay. And why don't you have houseplants?
Because I killed them.
They're afraid to be here. And when we're out of town, I brought them over and I put them certain place and I call her up and said, did you water the plants? Did you talk to the plants? Did you tell them you're sorry? Did you tell them I'm coming back? So they lived. So, yeah. So, okay. So how many people here talk to their plants? Thought about you do. Okay. Let's start with you. Let's start over here. Just share what you do, what your experience, or what do you say when you talk with your plants?
Well, I tell them, I want you to grow big and strong. And if they're not, I say, okay, what's the problem here? What's going on? And they don't answer me.
Do you get any type of inclination about light, water, fertilizer, anything that comes to you that maybe you need to do?
Sometimes. But right now, I have a tomato plant that's not doing well. I put it in a pot because everything I put in the ground dies. So it grew real tall and leggy, and it was getting a lot of little blooms, but they suddenly started shriveling up. But the plant is still real spindly and leggy. So I don't know what it wants. Maybe it got too much fertilizer in the dirt or whatever. Is it okay to cut them off at this point and let them regenerate?
Yeah, and with tomato plants, they're a vine, so you can stick the cutting of the plant off in water, it will grow roots.
Oh.
And all those little furry on the stems, those will become roots. So you can definitely plant a little bit more on an angle and so it can really root really well. But don't worry about cutting back the plant because it'll definitely come back. So we'll go around the room here. And who is next? Over here. And what is your name?
My name is Cheryl.
Cheryl. Nice to meet you, Cheryl.
Nice to meet you all too. I'm not very good at taking care of plants, but I've been trying very hard to do so. And I did have some orchids that were outside that I thought maybe were getting too much sun. So I actually brought them in, but put them in a place where there was light. And I read up a bunch of information about them. I talk to them every day. I tell all my orchids that I love them and that I hope that they'll continue to bloom. And so far, so good. It's kind of amazing. I'm kind of amazed. And I also have a desert rose plant that's supposed to be easy because you don't have to water it very much. And finally, after 3 years now, this year it finally bloomed.
Oh, wow.
So I'm happy about that. And
What do you think the difference is?
well, I think I have a little bit different perspective. I've stopped saying that I can't do it.
Okay.
So if you say you can, then it sort of happens. And of course, any cut flowers that I get, I talk to them every day. And when it's finally time for them to go, I give them my love before I dispose of it.
Oh, very nice.
That's it.
Thank you for sharing. Hey.
Hi, I'm Virginia. I'm transitioning from murderer to grower. I have 100-year-old Christmas tree or Christmas cactus that was given to me as a gift that I have continuously tried to murder in the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, and it refuses to die. So we're making a pact to love each other and grow.
No, 100 years.
It's my girlfriend's grandmother's.
Okay.
And she has a lot of cuttings from it. She said when she gave it to me, it doesn't bloom. She finally got one of her clippings to bloom.
Nice.
So there's hope.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
There's hope for a bloom.
It's a succulent also, so it's
Yes.
a different way
Yes,
to.
yes. I don't drown it, but it does get water.
Great, very good. And any experiences in the alcove over there? No?
We're not alone.
Hey, it's okay. There are no plants in here that could hear.
I could share the experience we get with the ARE.
Okay, just when it's your turn, lady.
Oh, I have to read
That's my mother. I can. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mindy, and I've never had great luck with plants. I feel my whole family, whatever, brown thumbs. But I did have some plants where I used to live. Snake plants, very easy, and they also cleanse the air. Like I was looking for at that time cleansing the air type plants because I have allergies and things like that. And but when I moved here a year ago, I decided that Paula, the woman who couldn't come, who's my across the street neighbor, she's very good with plants. So I've been buying plants. I've killed several, but I don't talk to them, and sometimes I don't water them as I should. But getting better at it, and I'm keeping a positive attitude that they are going to live, and if they die, then I will just have to buy new ones. I mean, that's all I can say, you know? But I don't spend time talking to them except, okay, it looks like you need more water or you need, and that type of thing. I have a dog, so I talk to him mostly. The secret life of pets.
Yes. Very good, thank you.
I grew up in a household that my grandmother lived with us, and she had plants everywhere and gardens and everything. So I'm not as good as she was, but I did develop a love for plants from her. And so now in Kings Point here, we don't have property, so you can't really plant things. And so my patio is where I keep plants, and I have a lot of luck with them, but I have a chime out there, wind chime, and I think that they really like the wind chime. I would recommend that if you have outside, but they do well, and I'm not good with orchids, sorry. I seem to kill those, I don't know why, but I'm growing moringa trees for, I've got 3 Vicky has one, and 2 other people have, Karen has one. So I have some kind of a luck with growing those.
Nice.
And so there's 3 growing in Sun City now.
That's great.
Because I can't grow a tree on my patio. I can get it started to about 6 feet, and then I have to give it up.
Yeah.
And you take cuttings from a moringa tree to start it?
I've never tried that, but I take the pot seeds. That's how I grew them, just from seeds.
Right.
But yeah, and then moringa trees are supposed to provide all the nutrients a human being needs to survive.
I've heard that.
And I've eaten the leaves when I had them. I don't have one right now. I'm waiting for some seeds, but I'd go out and pick leaves off of my trees and eat them.
So with that in mind, with the eating them, is that the secret life of plants and going into, since this is metaphysical and spiritual, is that I take it like from when you do blessing over your food, when you do a prayer over your food, you bless the food, no matter what it is, the vegetables, the herbs, the fruits, whatever that you go to pick them, and I do this in my own garden, is I ask permission first from the plant. And then before I eat, it's just silently, I'm communicating with my food, giving blessing and asking permission for that. And they say that when you do blessing and asking for permission, it actually causes the plant to swoon. And so otherwise it's like an assault against it, and it's violent, and then this way it's a swooning. The prayer does that. This like you've got the halal food, you've got the kosher foods, they're doing prayer over the animals. And so it puts it into a swoon, it changes the vibrational level, which is in harmony with our own selves. So when you say that you eat them, is that before you pluck the leaves off, you just ask for permission and they give it, and and you give thanks for that, and it helps the plant and it's more nutritious for you.
I was going to say, do you think they would lose, that the plants or vegetables or fruits might lose some of the nutritional value that they have if you don't communicate with them in a way, and you're saying that they might feel like they're being attacked?
No, what happens is energetically, there's a violent
Assault.
nature to it, it's an assault to it.
Right, that's what I'm
And
saying.
so it's
Vibration.
not in harmony with us. It's not going to be, it's like kind of tuned into a radio station, but you have all that static, it's not good. So you're not getting that benefit of that spiritual energy, that harmony. So from, the source.
To expound on that maybe a little, as a Reiki master, all of our energy is based on chi. And if you go into the plant and tree with open arms, you can actually feel the energy of that living matter. And so when you go into the chi energy, you bless it, ask permission, and then before you leave, after you've drawn energy from a living being, plant, animal, whatever, you want to return that. So whatever you're taking, even though you're taking a plant, you're going to want to return the energy back, and you will actually feel that you've had an energy exchange, and that kind of expounds on what you're saying. So think about that when you yank a leaf.
Before you yank a leaf.
Before you yank the leaf.
Okay, so now Carol Ann, go on and tell your story. I have to go over, I'll be right back because I've got 3 double batches of bread, sourdough, and I've got to, it's stretch and fold. So I have to run over and I'll be right back.
Yes. So you put all that energy into your bread, obviously.
I do.
That's the best bread I've ever had.
Yeah.
Right?
Agree with that. It's absolutely delicious.
Yep. Anyway, back several years ago, I was teaching with a man by the name of Douglas Dean, who's a chemical engineer. And we taught at Rosary Hill College, a Roman Catholic college, believe it or not. And we had about, 100 and some students in our class. It was a 6-week class. And one of the things that we did, because of the subject we were covering, was I got mung beans, because mung beans sprout very quickly, and little Dixie cups. And we gave each student 2 Dixie cups, and I forgot, I think 6 mung beans, 3 for each cup or 4 for each cup.
Are they beans? I'm not really sure what they are.
Yeah, they're beans. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That sprout.
mung, M-U-N-G. Yeah, they sprout. Yeah. And so we told them to take them home and add the same amount of water in each cup and put them in the same place, like in the same window, so they get the same sunshine or whatever. And we want you to pay attention to one of the cups and ignore the other one. Whether you sing to it, whether you pray over it, whether you just talk to it, whatever you want to do, but really paying attention to the one cup and in a very positive way, and ignore the other one, and then bring them back the following week, because the class was on Monday night. So they brought them back the next Monday night, and we went around the room, and everyone held up their cups, and the one cup had the vines crawling over the top of the cup, and the other one, some of them began to sprout a little bit, but not much. Most of them didn't sprout at all, except one woman. And when she held up her cups, both of the cups had the, mung beans had sprouted and were crawling all over, and so on and so forth. And so we said, well, what happened here? She said, I began to, pay attention to the one cup, and I began to talk to it and so on, and it began to grow. She said, but then the other cup, nothing was happening, and I felt so sorry for it. She said, I just couldn't ignore it. She said, so I started talking to that one too, which out of 100 and some people was even more proof that it worked, because she was the only one who did that, and both of the mung bean cups were sprouting. So if you want to try an experiment, and I do this sometimes in my workshops, they were on 3 so apart, is, go and get some mung beans because they sprout so quickly, and try that experiment yourself because it's really fun. Sometimes we take information, like we take this information, like Cleve Baxter in his experiments with the lie detector test, he, did it with plants and stones and yogurt and all kinds of things and so on. And we intellectually accept it. We say, yeah, okay, all right, okay, that's happened, I believe that. But when you actually see it happening, when you do it yourself, it's like, then you really know it's true. The other way, you intellectually accept it, you intellectually believe it, but when you do it yourself, you know it's true, and therefore no one can talk you out of not your belief, it's your knowledge, it's your experiential knowledge. And so I suggest trying that and do it with children because children love it. We did it with the blind children when we were training the blind children, and we did the same thing with them, and they were so excited because they could feel the growth. I couldn't see, but they could feel the growth. So if you have children or grandchildren, you might try it with them because they love to do that. And, very cheap little Dixie cups and mung beans. So it was a fun experiment.
Just to add to your comment, I also participated in a experiment of energy like that. And we took those little mini bottles of water. We put yes on one and no on another, and we put them in closets, different closets, but dark. And one said yes and one said no. And then we pulled them out in a week, and then we tasted them, and totally different taste. One was pleasant, one was not pleasant.
Uh-huh.
So in the matter of plants, I'm thinking now, after what you just said, Carol, that if we positively think about our water and keep it in a glass or a jug that we put in the refrigerator, and we just put yes on it, or we just infuse it with positive thoughts every time we go in there, our water might be better.
Yes.
And if we use that for our plants might be better.
Yes, exactly.
So
That's what a lot of people that I know who, are into this field do, is they'll hold the water they're going to water the plants with in their hand and then put positive thoughts or healing energy, whatever you want to call it, into the water and then water their plants. Yeah.
That was a great experiment.
Yeah. Mhm.
What about if you do that, like, to your fruits and vegetables, or
You always
anything?
want to try to infuse positive
Yeah,
energy
in your
into anything
refrigerator,
you're doing.
Oh, yes.
It lasts longer and tastes better.
Mhm.
And that's why I so disagree with, if you remember a long time ago, is when they said, if you're angry, you're upset, go ahead and make homemade bread and take it out on the bread and beat up that dough and everything else. That's not healthy. What are they thinking doing that? Because now you're serving all of that energy to your,
negative, frequencies.
Yes, to your family.
Bread. What do you need?
I'm just gonna see if that fits, or do I have to switch it over to the other side over here? No, because I know that it won't last the whole time. So it'll go here. That works.
Well, my daughter Marina loves to cook, as I do too. And I'll tell you, she is an excellent cook. And now she's making this homemade bread, and the sourdough bread is the best sourdough I've ever had. But I know what she does. I know what she does when she's making the bread.
I treated my mom to a loaf of Marina sourdough bread, and it disappeared. And I said, Mom, you're the bread. I don't eat bread, but I said, I want you to have the best bread while you're here. So if I'm going to go buy a loaf of bread, I ordered it for Marina. I said, I want you to enjoy it. Well, I didn't. She stayed for 2 weeks. It lasted about 4 days. If it was 4 days, it's bread. And it's big. I think you weigh them. They weigh 1.75 pounds.
Yeah, it's right about there. Yeah, it's over a pound and a half. Yeah. So I gave a loaf of bread to someone yesterday, and he sent me a text back and said something about that's not fair because we're going to our northern cottage soon, and it's not fair that you give me this
Wonderful.
crack like bread.
Yeah.
And now you're leaving.
Yeah, how dare you?
You don't want a new addiction.
I told you have to fill your freezer.
It kind of reminds me of just growing up and like my grandmother making dinners and everything and for holidays and basically cooking with love.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything
And
tastes
I
better.
mean,
with
in
love.
a
sour-
different
yeah.
sense, of course, than what you do, but
No,
just cooking, giving her the joy that she felt cooking for the family and having everybody
and that gets
together.
infused into the energy of the
And it
food,
tasted
absolutely.
delicious.
Well, it's like I do
And that's-
facials and I am a Reiki master. And so when I started doing my facials, I started like just automatically, we'd get into this energy while I was working
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
I go,
Sure.
wow, what happened? And I'm like,
My face is my face wrinkle free.
right. Well, I wind up doing, you can't just stop at the face with the energy. You have to have them in the face.
So now the sourdough is actually, I'm just fascinated with the sourdough starter because the bread, I mean, you saw the ingredients, it's flour, water, salt. Starter is made with flour, water, it's fermented. So it has live, it has living enzyme that are in it. You've got the lactic acid bacteria. And so there's a couple different things that go on with it, but it's live, and so people actually, they name their sourdough starter, which I don't do. And, but I talk to it. Please do it to me because I'm stirring it. Please rise, please rise, please
I never
rise.
know if she has company or not.
She does. Whether we see her
We
or
all
not,
do.
they're there.
We all do.
Now, this other one always fascinated me, and I'm just surprised at myself that I never really connected and communicated with this organization, the Finhorn Garden. The founders of the Finhorn community started out living off of plants, flowers, trees, and organic vegetables in a small plot around a 30-foot trailer. If you haven't heard of Finhorn, it's a garden in northern Scotland known for its large produce, including 40-pound cabbages, to be exact, and unusual flora growth, roses blooming in sandy soil in the winter. 3 unemployed hotel workers, Peter Caddy, his wife Eileen, and their friend Dorothy McLean, originated the garden. There are no less than 9 books by the founders of the Finhorn Garden. They offer retreats and much more. They are active now. They probably will always be active. You can find these and other books written about them and the garden, and more information on their website is finhorn.org. And that's it, where they started, and they went to this plot of land, unemployed, like they said, this plot of land that was not good soil at all. And they started growing things, and what they started to do is they would harmonize in with the soil, with the environment, and they invited the fairies in and other things. And then they started growing in particular manners of design and doing different things. And like the result is they're getting these 40-pound cabbages and things that were unheard of. So it's a really fascinating place, what they've been able to accomplish and what they continue to accomplish and what they do. And it just, for me, it all goes back energetically of where we are, how we are on this planet, and energetically how we affect everything, ourselves, one another, which really goes hand in hand with a little monograph I wrote called What is Your Spiritual Legacy? And the impact that we have on others from what we think, feel, and believe in about another person, place, thing, event, and the energies that we are exuding, which can affect all of that, and which we do with our own environment energetically, our soil, killing off your own plants. How dare you? No.
Go home and take a long conversation.
I like to water.
Well, I like to
Meant to be.
I forgot.
Going to be
So-
reincarnated
Yeah.
into something else.
I think maybe
A
next
desert
time,
farm.
next month, maybe we should do a piece on Dr. Emoto's work with water.
Oh, perfect.
I love that.
That's a
I have
great-
many of his
Cover that
books.
next month, yeah.
Yeah, in treating the water before,
Mhm.
yes, so definitely.
Yeah.
So, that's, I wanted to bring this into it because to me it's a very spiritual, unifying existence, one that we tend to forget about. And when you look also beyond the plants is, like I mentioned before, the halal meats and also the kosher foods, as well as that they are doing the prayer over the foods and before the animals are
It's a whole ritual.
Yes, and then also you've got, my mind goes to is the Indians where they would give thanks to the animals that they would kill, for their food, and they would give thanks. So they would do a prayer also over the animal too, and which to me goes to harmonizing the energies with us. And so I find that always is very important and very healthy. And I'm not a Bible thumper, but I know it's in the Bible also about the prayer and over the food and with the food, and it's very important to do that. There are people that do it out loud, and they make a show of it holding hands. I just quietly do that. Yes, there are times, absolutely, I forget to do it. I'm in a rush, busy day, get down, I'm hungry, and I just want to eat. And then as I'm eating, I'm going, oh yeah, okay. And so then I'll do something, and including the food that's already in me. So I try and do that. Does
Makes
anyone?
you wonder, when you go to a restaurant and the food tastes okay and so on, but when you get home, when you leave, you're sick to your stomach and you wonder, did I get a little food poisoning or whatever? You just begin to wonder, who cooked it? And what were they thinking or feeling while they were cooking it? Was there an argument going on in the kitchen?
The whole chain.
Yeah.
Getting it even to the restaurant.
Right, yes.
As a former restaurant owner, I can tell you there's a lot of things that go on that you really wouldn't want to know about.
Yeah, I've worked in plenty when I was young, and definitely.
I think it just goes to, as you said, Marina, we just need to bless our presence and our surroundings, regardless of what it is, where we are, and how and who we're with. I go to Bible study on Tuesday, and I introduced metaphysics into the conversation because, they're Christians, they're quoting Bible, and I said, they were talking about energy, and I said, it goes way beyond our energy, and even if the Bible only mentions it, think about it as an extension of the religion that you're learning, whatever religion that is. It's a planetary religion. It's not a global or universal.
Jewish mysticism has a lot of energy.
Well, it just goes to our energy continues no matter what planet or universe we're exploring. And I brought in what about the medians that speak to us, and they reach different energies, different places that we've traveled to. So they didn't balk at me. They didn't shun me. We're a small group.
And you didn't get your letter that you're no longer welcome?
No. No, and they did pray for me, but for other reasons. They were very open-minded, as we're a very small female group. And I just needed to make sure that they were aware that our energy extends much further than what we feel.
That's one of the
day-to-day.
things I do when I grocery shop. I enjoy grocery shopping. Well, I like to cook, so I enjoy grocery shopping. And we use a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, and real food is that we call it. And that's what I do is I go to buy something. Let's say it's tomatoes or whatever. I'll stand there and I'll be looking at the tomatoes or maybe holding one and so on. And people think, I'm judging by the smell or whatever. I'm not. I'm asking the tomato, Are you mine?
Yes.
Do you think
Yeah.
good for my body?
I know, it's weird. I'll be walking by something and I'll just make a U-turn and go, I gotta get that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because it
Well,
just reaches to you.
It just happened to me yesterday when I went to go get the dog food. I give them some commercial raw food and other food and then some kibble and stuff. But I went to go grab this one bag. They had different meats. I'll just choose the two that I did it with. Is I went to grab the beef one, and I felt this rejection, and it was just this very strong no, don't take that, or no, that's not, don't get that. And I actually, it kind of startled me a bit. And so then I thought, well, okay, I'll get the lamb. And it felt, and I just tuned into it, it felt smooth. And I thought, well, I went back to the beef and I just knew there was something not right. And I don't know if it's because of the animal itself, if something with the processing, was the temperature kept proper because it's raw, it's frozen when you buy it.
Right.
So I don't know, and it didn't matter. The thing was, I was told no. And so I got the other one, the lamb.
We were shopping and a box of beets landed in our car, in our cart that came out of, I don't even know what section I got them in, but they just drew me to them. I picked them up and I said, oh, okay. Put them in the
I
cart.
thought you meant they actually lay.
No,
That's what I was
but-
saying.
but
She meant
no,
to.
I mean,
She was drawn
I-
to them, yeah.
I never even looked for
We
them.
weren't even
They
looking
weren't
for
on my
beets.
mind or anything, but I went immediately to it. I said, "Oh," picked it up. Never
Calling
saw
to
it before, never even knew that existed in that form. But it's-
Good for you.
Yeah, fresh beets and beet greens are good. Yeah.
Well, the talk is that stuff has already been added to our food in the way of dyes and all that kind of stuff. But also today, even more dangerous things, and so on.
The soil's so contaminated. It's
Yeah,
And
but,
depleted.
but also the, what do you call it? I can't think of the name of it. When I did the reading, I said they were adding it to the food.
The shot.
The vaccine.
The
Vaccine.
COVID shot.
wow.
Yes,
It's
yes.
not a vaccine.
Because there's
but-
arsenic in
COVID
in a number of things as well.
Yeah,
Well, see, I did this reading how long ago?
It was
2 years ago?
It was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we stopped eating meat until we checked it out. But the thing is.
Yeah, we were off of meat out in restaurants and commercial meats, buying them for about a year and a half. We didn't.
Yeah.
We'd go to restaurants and we would get vegetarian meals, and we were not eating any type of meats at all.
Yeah.
And that was a year and a half, and we were just like, oh my God, please. And the same thing, the commercial meats. And so, that's when I started buying local meats from local
Butchers.
farmers, they're really ranchers, but farmers up north. And that's the only meats that I would buy.
And the meat that had, and it was beef at that time when I did the reading, the beef that had the COVID shot in it and so on felt to me very ragged, very sharp. The meat that didn't have it in felt very harmonious, like smooth, like this. So we would eat beef, but we would check it first.
And the one time I didn't was a gathering with the club we belonged to, and I ate, it was a burger, and I thought, okay, because it's our yearly thing, and it bothered me. It really bothered me, so I did like a cleansing type, fasting and stuff, and I thought, oh, that's it, not doing that anymore.
And I remember when I did the reading and we told some members of our family, my granddaughter, what did she say? That was going over the edge or
Oh yeah.
something about my reading, she really couldn't buy it. And then it came out in the news how long after that? Anyway, it came out in the news. She told Grandma was right.
Are you talking about they're putting the mRNA into the feed and stuff for the beef? Is that what you're,
They put it into
Yes.
the
they're
food.
starting to do that now?
Yes. Yeah, I saw them putting it into the beef. Now
the
You
actual meat.
Yeah, the
Into
actual
the
meat
meat,
itself.
oh,
Yeah, not the feed, the
butchered meat.
animals.
oh,
Ate
into
'em.
the, okay, I knew that, and I thought that was pretty scary,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they're doing
Yeah,
those are
into the
vegetables and
animal
different
and-
things.
without our
with
consent.
Vaccines.
You know, that's like giving you medicine without your consent
Right.
or something.
And a lot of ways you can find out too, what's gonna be harmonious for your body is, I don't know how many people here are familiar with the muscle testing,
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to have the actual substance, you can just write it down on a piece of paper, like write a bunch of different things on paper, cut them up or rip it. And so it's one word, one type of food, and you're holding that and muscle testing to see if it's strong or if it's
Can you
weak.
say what it is? Is it with another person?
You don't need to know what's on that paper.
What,
Or the pendulum,
Or the
using the
pendulum.
pendulum. Is that I've done this when, with some classes I did and some lectures where I owned a center up north, and I would have the synthetic vitamins, like synthetic vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin E, and then the natural one, and doing the muscle testing and watching it go down, because it would be strong. And so, with the natural, and they didn't know which one they were holding. So then testing them, and their own body knows. And I did a thing with my great nieces and nephew when they were younger, and so, okay, hold out your arm. And so we just do just to see how strong it is. And then they'll say, okay, now say, your name, and it's strong. I go, okay, now say your name is Mickey Mouse, and their arm will go down. And my one great niece, and I said, okay, now say that your name is Mickey, Mickey Mouse. She turned, she goes, but my name is Mickey Mackenzie, and they call her Mickey. So I had to change it for that one. So that was funny. Oh, yeah, that's right. My name is
But is
Mickey.
that where they're pushing against?
They're resisting. Yeah, they're resisting against, you're pushing down, and they're resisting
You're
up.
testing, you have to,
So,
Push
but
that
then there are
as
times
well.
that
Yeah, no,
it's,
they
if
don't
it's
do it
something that's,
themselves.
if it's
No, I know
something
that.
that's not
I couldn't
good for
remember how it
them,
worked.
if the arm goes down, you can't keep that arm up no matter what, and you're doing the same
So
exact
it's
thing. Everybody's
resistance.
standing in the same position, doing the same amount of pressure, the arm is in the same spot as when it was strong, and people say, okay, well, just give me a minute, I wasn't ready. Right?
I wasn't ready.
How many times do you hear that? I wasn't ready. Okay, all right, let's do it again. And it's crazy, but that's another way you could be testing too, to see, if they've done things with the food. I'll go over and I'll put my hand in, and I'm sure that people think I'm nuts when they see me out there, is I'll put my hand on a bag of whatever, and I'll just tune into it to feel, to see how it is, because in harmony it's a smoother, softer, even type of energy, and others can be, jagged, or it can be erratic. It could be,
It's unpleasant.
you just know it's a different feeling.
It's unpleasant.
Until you recognize what that is for you,
Yeah.
you can definitely feel when it's
Mhm.
smooth and calm.
Yeah.
You just know that in your person.
So no matter if it's something that your body can't handle that type of food, if they've done something to that food, if the chemicals or the fertilizers, pesticides that they've done on it, the storage, whatever it is. And like I told my mother, don't buy the garlic that's in those little white mesh bags. It's from China. They irradiate all of their garlic. And so it's radiation that they do on it. Don't get that. You want the garlic. If you see it sprouting, that's best, because you know that they haven't done that to it. So
You can go in the grocery store and test this out for yourself.
Yeah.
I just never thought of any of this.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and after a while, because we've been doing this for so long, I really don't have to use my hands. I can just stand there, and your body knows. So your whole body is actually reacting, and so I feel my whole body reacting negatively or positively to whatever I want to know about.
Well, if I see a bag of potato chips, my body will react positively.
I think they stick to them.
Yeah. Just as an example, like, I don't know, like, you have all been doing this for so long and educated and all of that. Like, to me, I can't even imagine having that, like being able to feel some sort of vibration
Oh,
of a good or a bad, like.
so you have to take my
You have to
workshop.
practice. You have to practice.
That's what I
try and keep it turned to people
You
sometimes. I
have to take my
forget.
workshop. That's what I teach in the workshop.
Oh,
You see where it's done.
okay, I know, you have to fill me in on when
It's
you're doing
a
it.
much more effective technique for me.
Much more effective what?
Much more effective technique.
I didn't make you dizzy.
I can do it with pencil.
Oh.
You're in the grocery store with pencil, it's really hot.
Yeah. You know what I do? I hold it, and then if I lean forward, it's good. If I fall back, it's bad. I just put it in my hands.
There are
And I
times
don't
I'm
feel
just
you
too
don't
tired
care
just to
if I think
stand
you're
there
not.
and try and tune it. That's why I put my hand on it, like I'll go to Restaurant Depot and what I did like back, because I'll buy flour in 50-pound bags because I've been making and selling bread, that sourdough bread. And so I'll put my hand right on that 50-pound bag of flour because I'm tired, and I can't.
Right. Oh,
So
I wouldn't pick that up.
so I sit there, so I put my hand on it. So doing that helps me to keep that focus on just that bag, because when you're tired, because your intention is that bag, you're tired and you can't do that as well. So this way, just that physical connection to it, I'm keeping my attention there
Right.
to be able to tune in.
Right.
And so I put my
And I
hand
think
on the
that comes with
flower.
practice, though. I
And,
need to be that into.
And so I'll go over the different flours to see which one. And that's how I ended up choosing the flour I use for the sourdough and the other baked goods that I have, because that was much more in harmony with, and it felt right. The other ones, like I said, there's a jaggedness, there's a roughness, there's this
Bad energy.
rejection. Yeah, a rejection. So, and and you have tuning into not only that, maybe what they've done to the food, as far as what they've mixed in with it, how it was grown, but also the food itself, because if it's not a healthy, it could also possibly be communicating with us saying, I'm not good for you too. I don't know. I haven't looked into that part at all or tried to see anything about that. But, that's another thing, is tuning into how much nutrition does that head of lettuce hold? Because was it grown in a place that was over farmed, and that plant isn't healthy growing? It's not happy the way that it's growing, because it's just in soil that it couldn't get enough of the nutrition and stuff that it needed through the water, the different minerals and everything. So there's a lot going on there with it. So you have your pendulum out, so I want you to maybe show us how and what you would do with because the pendulum is energy.
Well, okay.
Sally?
I would hold, okay, we have a biscotti here.
With dark chocolate.
Yeah.
That could only
How
be
could
good
that be
thing.
bad?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, you're gonna hold it above the object that you're questioning. First of all, you have to know what's yes and what's no with your pendulum. So, because it'll go one way for yes and one way for no. And basically all you're gonna do is ask it yes, no questions. That's about that. But so if I wanna know if this is something I should eat, first of all, I'm gonna say, let's say this. Sorry, but I gotta do this if it's gonna be accurate.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, my name is Sally. And then it'll show me, that's typical of this one. So it's gonna go yes this way, okay? So, you wanna test it first.
I want to say one thing for
Yeah.
people that might not believe in pendulum. She is talking, she is moving, her arm is not situated here. So what
well,
might
it's
look,
not-
what might look something to you that it's, she's moving.
I need to put
She
it
can
on.
see and knows what the direction it's going to be, very specific, not all over the place, moving everywhere. It was a very specific movement for yes for her.
Okay, is this something I can eat? Healthy,
Is this something I should eat?
Should. 'cause
Should
you
eat, should
Could,
eat.
but should you?
and it's giving me a yes. So thank you. It begged me.
Try the cast.
Well, I guess if you hold it above a guy's.
PG.
No, that was not, that's. You know, to choose.
We don't want YouTube to kick us off of the platform.
Is this something I should eat?
And let it be known.
And
one
that's a
thing-
no.
That's a no for you, huh?
Influence the pendulum.
Diverticulate.
I'm okay. I'll eat it for you.
Well, that's the lawsuit.
What was that?
Probably the salt.
It could, I don't know, but it said no.
If there's salt in it.
Just not for
With
you.
sea salt.
Cashew, sea salt, peanut oil.
I can't think
Peanut
of
oil,
salt.
that's one.
I love
That's a big one for a lot of people.
that.
Anyway, these are easy to, I had one that was actually a bracelet, so you could wear it with you all the time, and it broke. I'm heartbroken.
Oh, that's a pretty neat idea, though.
Yeah, because you can get some kind of a clasp. They run about 8 inches, so you could, you want it, if you want it with you all the time, then you can just make it into
But
a
the
bracelet.
hanging down part, I
Well,
mean, getting caught on something, there's a way to.
I don't know. You'd have to work it out, I guess.
Now, when
but-
you go in restaurants, do you go over the menu?
No, but I don't think about it. That's the thing, it's like, but big decisions, I do think about it. Quite honestly, when we were facing whether to get COVID shots or not, I used it over and over with that, just to make sure I was doing the right thing. And it,
Tell you.
quite honestly, it said no, big time no. And it said it over and over and over. So I didn't.
Oh,
I'm just saying, it worked for me, so, but the big decisions like that, I think might want to try it. You use one, right?
Yes.
And what do you say?
Very consistent results with it. The times that I haven't have been times when I had too much of a vested interest in the outcome.
Yes.
So if I have a vested interest in the outcome, I feel like I can drive the answer to the
You
answer
can.
that I want.
How-
If I can neutralize my perspective on the issue, then I've had tremendous success with that.
How-
Right.
We booked plane flights that I would not have booked otherwise. It had tight connections
Mhm.
going to Europe. And if we didn't take that connection, it would have been like an extra 6 hours of travel. And asked the pendulum, would we make the connection? And the answer was yes, and we made it. So I had success with things like that.
Yeah.
And but the ones that has been inconsistent is things that I really have a
Yes,
desire.
yes.
Like then what I think I'm doing is auto-suggesting the pendulum.
Well, why don't
Which is
you
I can make the
do,
pendulum move
Yeah,
with mental energy.
Yeah,
And
PK.
it's-
yeah,
it's
why
kinda
don't you do the
compromising,
same
yes.
way of the muscle testing as writing it, a few different things, like 6 different things, one on each one piece of paper, so that you don't know what the question is. And
Yes,
then
I've-
try it that way to see what kind of answers that you get.
I've done it that way.
And does that
And
work
takes
for
away-
you?
Yes.
Or are you tuning into telepathy, tuning into what's on the paper?
I think you can see what's on the paper mentally. If you're so vested in the outcome,
Mhm.
I don't think
Yeah.
you can fool yourself
I
by
agree.
creating a blind scenario.
Yeah,
I
That's
think
been my
you're right
experience,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can't.
But if you can be objective about the
Unbiased.
outcome,
Yeah.
then I found pendulums to be incredibly accurate and consistent
yeah.
on a lot of different topics.
Now, unfortunately, most people don't carry them with them, so that when they get into a situation where they want to know an answer, they don't have it.
should I-
But-
That's why a simple way to muscle test, because there's another one
Yeah.
where you link your fingers together like that. Because
Do a
with this one,
muscle
you need
test. Show
somebody to
everybody a
work with
muscle
you.
test. Do-
This one,
do
if you
somebody.
muscle test like this, your fingers will not come apart.
It's an interesting.
Unless you- If it's a yes,
Really
if it's
But
a
if you're
yes.
just,
Just pick.
I'll have somebody sit there. and try.
Positive is
Positive to keep it is yes. If you're not supposed to have it, it comes apart.
Oh, that was,
I have trouble with this one. I think I'm always suggesting what it should be when it's like this. So.
Do you want to try some muscle testing?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
come on over here. You're gonna do a tour.
Oh, I see it, yes.
And that really
I
works
see it
too.
and I still fall now.
Hey, I'm the IT girl, so
What
girl,
IT.
What is
Tech.
the techie, the tech,
Oh.
the computer. I'm the camera girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been having a little problems with my arms. So
Oh,
just letting you
so
know.
that's not a good idea then.
Wrong arm, other
No,
arm.
it's fine. Maybe do this arm.
Yeah, just swing your legs around over there. Just watch her water.
Yes, I see the water.
Alrighty.
I am all seeing.
And just resist me. This is not a contest of strength. It's just to get the flexibility here, okay? So hold your arm out straight and resist when I press down. Okay, what are we testing?
Now we ask her name. What's her name?
Oh, okay.
What is your name?
Is your name, what is your name?
My name is Mindy.
Okay.
Okay. Now say my name is Santa Claus.
My name is Santa Claus. My name is Tinkerbell.
See, you can actually feel yourself getting weak. You can actually
Because
feel
you're
it.
lying. No. But I've had that done. I don't know. I don't remember who did it, but it was somebody who I met out in Sedona. And she taught the Silva method. And I don't know if that was a part of it or if she just did that as an extra thing.
Yeah, she did it as an extra thing.
So that has
The
nothing to
Silva
do
method,
with,
no.
okay. I don't really know what it is anymore,
No.
right? But I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to be tested for something specific as long as we're doing this?
Well, I wouldn't really know what, like.
Like a food, some type
Do
of
you
food
eat
or
chocolate?
beverage?
Do you eat chocolate? Do you like vodka? Anything?
You wanna hold this in your
Do I like
hand?
red wine?
No, not like.
No.
It's
Do I
not,
drink?
it's not like, it's not drink. Is it, your
Should
body,
I?
is it, should you? Because is it good for your
Oh,
body or
So
not?
I say, should I?
Do you really
drink?
want to know the answer to that? Be careful what you ask for.
No, but I'll do it.
sex?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that I don't.
Simplify.
PG.
Red wine in your mouth. Pretend you have red wine in your mouth and taste the red wine that you like. Let me know when you're tasting it.
Maybe it's not good red wine.
I'm sure that's the reason.
Very specific.
Well, I'm sure drinking.
Hold this or something and see if in one hand and,
The other.
The other hand.
and ask it a
Should you
question.
eat that?
Well, just hold it and we'll find out if that's good for your body. Forget it.
Give me some bread. Bring me a loaf now.
Couple cashews. Okay, now it's peanut oil, sea salt, and cashews. So
Yeah,
there are
I
three
would be
ingredients there.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Mm,
It's quite
That's good for
strong.
you.
Yeah.
Here.
Cashews it is.
We're just the
Oh,
opposite.
I have water.
Well,
Is
just
that-
holding it.
Oh, holding it. I
Yeah, here,
thought,
give me the cashews there.
okay.
You can eat them later.
Okay.
See, I don't even bother with that. I just have them imagine their mouth full of water. for
Okay, we'll do that
example.
because she's holding
Yeah,
the
'cause it's
plastic.
lime.
The plastic might be
Yeah.
a
And it's
reaction.
Pretend that you've got a mouthful of that water from that bottle. Let me know when you can taste it.
Mhm.
And that's strong, yeah.
Do you think I did the red wine on purpose? Do you think there was, because I know I probably shouldn't drink it.
Maybe the
Well, that
question
comes
is,
back
maybe
to
the
the other
question is, should I
See,
drink alcohol?
But see, the thing
Are
is,
you driving the answer or
Right.
is your body independently driving the answer? That's kind of the struggle you have with a lot of these.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Techniques is, are you driving it to a predetermined outcome, or
Yeah.
is this a valid test that will tell you what the outcome should be?
Right.
Yeah, but your body knows, you can't, it's,
anytime I've done this, if, you know, I had experience with it a couple of times. And one of the questions I asked was a personal question that I thought maybe happened to me when I was younger. And someone fed that idea into my head, probably as a psychiatrist or psychologist or something. And they did it, and the answer was no, which was a good thing. You know, so
Mhm.
I don't know. I didn't want the answer to be yes, but I was expecting it to be yes, even though I didn't really
Mhm.
think anything happened. Well, you kind of probably get the idea, but
See, and
But
after a
it-
while,
but it
you
was-
don't even have to do the
but it
muscle
was no.
testing. Just the very fact that, for example, when my doctor, for example, said, have you had the COVID shot? And as soon as they say COVID shot, my whole body reacts in a very negative way. You know, I'm sure if I did the muscle testing, it would have said no. So when I first heard about the COVID shot, my body reacted like, you know, no, stay away from me. So that's why I didn't get the COVID shots, because my body knew it wouldn't be good for me.
wow. See, I'm debating whether to. I mean, I know this is off topic. I will move. Thank you very much for
Mhm.
doing this
it's a
with
fun
me.
little thing.
But the third COVID shot, I got the first two. I didn't get the third one, the Omicron, and I'm debating whether I should or I shouldn't. I have no idea. Should
It's
Yeah.
a pendulum.
Muscle
that?
test.
It's an individual thing. For me, the pendulum said, get the vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Mine
You
said
wanna,
no.
you wanna muscle test it and
So
see?
can we do that? One last
Yes,
time, or-
okay, let's see.
Can I say I'm getting the third COVID shot?
No, should I?
Yeah, should I?
Should I?
Yeah. She made it strong.
No, she's supporting her other self,
Oh.
she wasn't doing that
All
before,
right,
I don't know if
okay.
that's gonna make a difference or not.
Made strong.
Okay.
Okay, well, there's an answer.
Thank you very much. I loved it. Thank you.
Was that a
Don't
yes
forget
or
about the
no?
court. It was a yes, she gets.
That was a yes?
Yeah.
I've been putting it off because I can't decide.
There you go.
And also, there's one that Katerina does where you lean
Yeah,
back.
that's mine. I do that
Oh,
one
that's
as
what,
well.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
How,
I stand up, and if I ask a question, I lean forward for a yes, I fall back.
fall back for a no, yeah,
Oh.
that works too.
See, your body knows. Your body knows what is good for you, what isn't good for you, and it will give you the answers. And as John said, though, if it's something you have a real vested interest in, you can screw the answer.
That is
The way
true.
Right,
you
like,
want
should
it.
I invest in this stock? You know, that you get a tip on, you know,
Yeah.
something like that, like, I'm gonna make a lot of money if I invest in this, that's what I've been told.
Well, see, those are several different questions you've just asked.
Right, but, my
Yeah.
point is that you want the answer to be, yes, I should invest so I can make.
Well, not
But not
necessarily.
necessarily.
Oh, that's true, that's true. I was thinking more like, will I be rich? You know, something like that.
In what? You have to be more
Oh,
specific.
I'm just.
Am I gonna
was
be
talking
rich in
with the
health?
money.
Am I gonna be financially stable? Should is more the question.
The more specific you can make the question,
Yeah.
the more likely you're gonna get a usable answer.
Right.
Like, if you ask, am I gonna be happy? I mean, that's just such a broad,
Too global.
wide open.
Do you know
Happy
people,
about what,
people ask
right?
that in readings?
I
Some
know
people ask that in readings?
What, if they're gonna get rich?
No, if they're gonna be
Happy.
happy.
Yeah.
Oh,
What does that mean?
Well, yeah, tomorrow, but maybe
And I
not the
even
next
mind
day,
that.
you know, I
Because
mean.
no
who
one's happy
knows?
all the time.
No.
But
And what does
so the
happy mean
answer's
to
always
you?
yes.
And what does happy mean to you, you know?
That's impossible.
I know, I tell people, I can't answer
ever
this.
reach peace of mind.
Going back
That's
to
another
your
thing.
stock question, during one of the reasons Caroline did for me, she saw me picking stocks. Okay,
Oh,
so And in full disclosure, I'm a recovering engineer, so when you I immediately go out and put something together. And, so I said, well, so I decided to do a psychic portfolio. Okay, so I did two portfolios. I did a controlled portfolio, which is what I would pick as stocks based on what I know about the market.
Right,
Company
just
performance
reading
and
and all
track
that.
records and all that kind of stuff.
Fascinating.
But then I also went through the stock exchange listings and just tried to sense those stocks that I got energy from. Okay, so that was my psychic portfolio. Okay, so I wrote all the names down on a piece of paper, turned them all upside down, shuffled them like a deck of cards, and then went through and just picked out the psychic portfolio that I felt energy from. And then I tracked the two of them for 6 months. And the interesting thing was they both performed the same.
But
Oh,
they both what?
Wow.
Perform the
Perform
same.
the same.
Really?
Really, is that right?
Exactly.
But they were
But
all
if
different.
you want a technique for testing out a question on a stock, then you might consider asking a very specific question of, if I buy this stock at today's price, will it go up or down in some period of time? So you're gonna have to sneak up on it with like a lot of questions.
There's too much.
Because what'll
I'm
happen
not
is
doing that.
you could buy a stock and it could go up tomorrow,
But
and it
then
could go bankrupt the day after. So
Right.
it's not a question of will the stock go up or down, it's a question of at
The
what point
timing.
do you buy or sell?
you
and what is
buy
your investment?
low, sell high.
Correct. So you want to know, so what, if you ask a specific questions about the performance of that stock over time, you probably can get some decent information.
Right.
Well, now Carol Ann is kind of the poster child for picking stocks as well. I mean, she has techniques for doing that got you in trouble with the SEC.
Yes, oh, yes. They called me down to Washington. I had to hire a lawyer. Yes.
I didn't know
Yes,
that.
oh, yes, I bought the stock.
What a
And-
sordid past you have.
And Martha Stewart kicked out of places, really. Yeah, so I had to go to Washington. It cost me, and I only invested $6,000 in this stock, right? And it cost me $23,000 for a lawyer to go to Washington.
You've
to
gotta
defend
be
me.
kidding me. But
Oh,
then
no.
you help the police departments and all these people, all that good Samaritan, use your abilities
Yeah,
for good.
right.
And then the one thing you do that no intention of anything illegal,
Right,
you just had a feeling.
Yeah.
Other people get feelings too.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, he finally ended the interview when he said, "Why did you pick that stock?" Because it was sold and split or something, 2 days later or something like that. And I said, I finally had had enough. I said, because the room lit up when I touched it. He said, somebody turned the lights on. I said, no, the room lit up. I'm a psychic and I chose the stock that way. And that's how I earn a living. Oh, he was the most conservative, stiff-looking guy you could ever imagine. And he hemmed and hawed. I think we've had enough here. I think this is enough. And that was the end of the interview
But
after
the
2
lawyer,
days.
legal fees
Wow.
and
Yeah.
travel if you had to go.
What?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mhm.
What was wrong with
So
that
that was
stock?
it. I don't
was
do
an
stocks
attorney, so
anymore.
I get it.
I don't do stocks anymore. I don't want to invest $6,000. I have to spend 20 some for a
Oh,
lawyer.
my goodness.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is incredible. That's an incredible story. Well,
What was
you're
wrong
writing a
with the
book?
stock?
No, they thought I had insider information because
Like
2
Martha
days
Stewart.
later or something like that, it was sold and the stock split and, I made money on the
Oh, so
stock.
they went after you like Martha Stewart.
That's
Yeah.
what I just said.
With
Yeah.
$6,000.
Yeah, don't tell me it's not done all the time on Wall Street.
course.
Oh, I
Don't tell
agree
me
with
it's not
that.
done all the time.
Remember,
It's
Howard
politics.
But
In politics.
the thing is that you
Yeah.
just have to be, it never occurred to me that, it would look suspicious. Because I didn't know
Why?
it was going to split and whatever it did. And so I just knew, the room lit up when I thought about that stock, so I want more of it.
Like the room lights up when you want it.
That's what happens, because most of my readings are on the telephone, 'cause I don't travel so much anymore. And so someone will ask me a question, let's say about their business or something, whatever. And I'll tell them, oh, the room lit up. That's a really good idea. That's what happens to me quite often.
Wow.
And so I know it's positive. Now, if it gets cloudy and so on and so forth, of course, just the opposite would be true.
I want to announce to YouTube world here is today at 5:30 Eastern time. Today is Thursday. I'm doing a class. I teach classes on outschool.com. I hold guided meditation classes. I teach about meditation. I hold other type of classes. One class today is, are these plants herbs or weeds? What's in your lawn? And so I teach, and this class is geared toward ages 10 to 14 and teaching about the free growing herbs that you can find in your lawn, in fields, along the side of the road that are very beneficial, and health benefits and uses and things like that, things that certainly wouldn't think of at all. Plus I give a few extra bonus herbs too in that class. It's a popular class. It's a fun class, 45 minutes long. And
You don't have enough to do.
while you're living,
Yes.
keep going. Okay, so that is that. Just want to put that out there. It's like I said, this goes until 3 o'clock, and then I have that class at 5:30, and then we have dinner.
Yes. So,
Where are we? We're 2:22.
any questions from our?
No, nothing.
Oh, that's unusual.
Yeah, it is unusual. So
For the next time around, next month, would you be interested in covering the Dr. Emoto's experiments with water? Good, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
Sounds
what we
great.
do is, what I did with the blind children,
well, it's only 2:22. So I mean, if you have to leave early, but we go till 3 o'clock there. So
what I did with the blind children was we took 2 cups of water, little Dixie cups of water, and we had them hold one of them, not hold it, look at it, and send healing energy to the water. And then they closed their eyes. They were blind, but they closed their eyes anyway. And we had them sip from one of the cups, and they didn't know which cup we were handing them. And then that sip from the other cup, and which one did they taste the same or different, and which one tasted different, and so on and so forth. And it turned out that each time they sipped the one that they had put the healing energy into it, they said the water tasted sweeter each time. And so we did the same thing with the vitamins. We had them hold the natural vitamin C in one hand and the synthetic vitamin C in the other hand. And what do you feel in this hand? And what do you feel in this hand? And they tell us. And one of the reasons I spent a lot of time with the blind children on this negative positive thing is because they can't see. And so therefore, I wanted them to be able to be very aware of energy, so that if there was someone around them in the room or wherever who was a negative person and perhaps going to harm them in some way, they would be very aware of it. Because if someone has plans to, kidnap them or rape them or, whatever, that person is radiating negative frequencies. And so they would feel that and know that they need to get away from that person. So that was the ultimate goal.
Wow.
which goes along lines with that experiment with the plant that was hooked up and the plant
Yeah.
that got murdered by
Right.
being ripped up, and they were able to identify.
Right.
Now, you couldn't use this in a court of law, but we really should be able to, because if a plant is going to react to an actual murderer or rapist or abductor
Yeah.
and doesn't to other people, I mean, that's pretty profound.
Yes.
And so when you take away, and there was no sight with these children, and they're tuning into and able to that part of ourselves that we all have and can do, but we're so distracted because of the physical realm and our job and worrying about this person and that, and we have the time on the clock of what we have to do and everything, is that I won't say we're is disconnected with it, but we are certainly not in tune with it the way that an animal would. Like I walk my dog and he's only done this maybe 3 times, and we've had him for about 8-9 years, is I'll be walking him one side of the street, walking along, and then he gets this very deep, low growl. It's very quiet, and that's the dangerous one. Very low, quiet growl. And I'd look up and there would be a man walking on the other side of the street, and there's nothing physical that you could look by looking at with your eyes to say this person is not a good person or they mean harm. They're just walking along, but he didn't like them. And I trust him, because I'm over here thinking in my head, I've got to do this and everything else. And so I'm not in tune with my surroundings the way that the plant is, the way that those children are focusing on the water and just how it tastes and putting, the energy into it. So we've really failed to keep that connection going. And I think that's why the meditation music, the meditation itself, the chimes, even the pendulum of, what we can get on our own quite often without tools, but sometimes we need tools to be able to help us. Sometimes, like you said, that they can go ahead, we end up overriding that because we want the outcome to be a certain way. So we would really need to probably ask somebody else to tune in for those answers. So if we can, and I am super guilty of not doing this, is taking the time, maybe a little bit in the morning, later afternoon, bedtime, and even in what I teach my students on out school. And I couldn't do any of those experiments because secular versus non-secular, and they've kicked me off the platform. I just wouldn't be allowed to be able to be there. But as I teach my students, even if it's just 5 minutes that you can take just to center and do the breathing exercises that I teach them, just that alone, just to recenter, refocus. And if it's meditation for 5 minutes, that's fine. You don't have to be in the lotus position. You don't have to be in a super quiet room. You can there are things that, I teach them that they can do to be able to reconnect with that inner part of themselves. And before they take a test, or if they're going on, they're shy in the new school, what to do with that as far as refocusing so they can get to that fun, creative, outgoing part of themselves to reconnect, to connect with new people. But I don't think we do enough of that because the plant does, the dogs, other animals do, and children being taught like that, they can't see the water. They don't know when you're moving, which one they're drinking out of, because they're blind. And again, it's not that we've lost or disconnected it. We're just not tuned into what's there because we're tuned into a different frequency of too much physical. And especially these last 3 years, we are glued to our news stations and other sources as to what's going on and how best to protect ourselves, our world, our family.
Maybe animals and plants and everything, it's more innate. And for us, it could be innate, but we don't practice it. I mean, we let it go because of all the distractions
Also,
around.
birds
look
don't
at
have jobs.
what is honored and respected and rewarded in our society is the intellect. That's what we get rewards for in school. It's not, our psychic ability, but how well do we do on tests and, so on.
What our energy
That gets
field
rewarded.
or whatever,
What is one of the first things that they cut back on in the school budget? It's the arts, it's the
He was
music,
a drama club at my grandson's.
Yep.
He was very.
the creative side of us. Yeah, the creative side of ourselves, which is the intuitive side. Well, the sports, it brings in money.
I know, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't cut that.
No. So that's, we really need to be able to do that for ourselves then too. And I try, but I'm so busy lately. The last couple of years have been going, is that when I go, I hate to say, I go to meditate, you know, if I'm laying down, I fall asleep. So I try and do focusing meditation, which I can do. I can get into another state while I'm doing something that's automatic for me. Like if I'm making a salad and I'm chopping the food and I'm, you know, I'm staying aware of the knife and everything, but I'm, you know, I'm doing that and ripping up the lettuce because it's a repeated movement. And, you know, there are a lot of meditations that have movements with it, or chanting, which is a repeated thing. So, you know, when you get into movement.
Chant?
I think reset, and then I go into meditation, reset.
Oh, okay, all right. Now, what I do is I use that to, as I tell my students, is that one of my classes is called Calm the Chaos, and I offer that in 3 different age groups. And I teach them not only is there chaos going on in the world, but we can have chaos going on inside of ourselves as well. So what I'm doing when I'm doing that, the repetition movements of something, is that I am tuning out the outer world, and I'm just getting into that rhythm of this, which energetically gets me into the rhythm of my own energy. And I'm just focusing and being on that brings me into the altered different state, which I can just then, I don't want to say like do a meditation while I'm aware and doing things, but it kind of is like that.
Yeah, to me, it's just a reset. I almost see the reset button, and then all of a sudden it goes.
I can't say for me it's a reset. It's more tuning into that altered state.
Yeah, I reset to calm. That's the reset button is calm.
Everybody, I guess, has their own. The Bible is praying without ceasing.
Okay, well, yeah. All
It's
right.
when you are taking care of things out here, but this other stuff is going on, you know, inside of you. Prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it. It's called praying without ceasing.
Without.
I didn't know that.
Without ceasing.
Stopping without stopping.
Yeah.
Ceasing.
So you're constantly in a state of meditation, really. Don't you find that you're functioning on 2 levels quite often?
You know, I find like certain things are cathartic for me to do. And certain things, like there was no way I could meditate. I'm not a big meditator, but I know that if I'm weeding or whatever around my house, I find that very calming. And so maybe that's a form of meditation, because I don't think about all the other stuff, chaos in my life.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
exactly.
when I'm walking my dog, it's a different story because I have to be careful with him. And if I was walking around the block by myself, I might just be thinking of my problems, not solutions, not whatever, you know, like negative stuff as opposed to positive energy and all that. But when I'm out there weeding the yard, whatever, I just fall into like this sort of rhythm. And
Now, what do you do with those weeds?
well, I put them outside for them to take away. There are parts of like the plants, like the big tree plant things that are dying off and stuff.
Oh, so not the weeds.
No, I don't really, well, I pull some weeds out, but I don't know what they are.
Because one thing I teach is that weeds is just another name for plants that we don't know what the
What they
names
are.
or uses are for them.
I actually read something about that recently, that this thing that's growing out of the ground, and not from what you were saying, but it ties in what you're saying now, is that some things are medicinal and edible that we don't even know that are growing out of our own yards.
Well, that's the class that I teach today. I'm holding today.
But
Are these herbs or
Oh,
weeds?
that.
What's in
oh,
your
right.
lawn? Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
yeah.
clicked on that, but
Yep.
That's
What is that one weed that was growing in your lawn when I was up there 2 years ago, I think it was? And you cut it and told me to eat it because it's
Oh,
supposed to
wild
be
lettuce.
Yeah,
also known as opium lettuce. It
Yes.
grows freely, wild, and it's people with latex allergies would probably have a sensitivity to it because it's in the latex family. But it's that milky white inside of the stem, and the leaves also hold medicinal properties, but that is for pain. It's
Yeah.
also to help relax. So I
It was
grow a lot of
growing in
different
her yard.
herbs.
That was one of the
Sunflower.
plant, one of
Yeah.
the weeds.
Yeah,
That's not really, I mean, that's good for you.
and it does. It relaxes you. You have to be careful how much you eat, how much you take in, consume, especially. And that's one thing I teach them too, is that it's nothing to play around with. It, you can't tell somebody, well, have this and have that, different herbs, because you don't know if they're on medication, if it's going to be contraindicated on any type of medication, any type of conditions that they have, and is it going to be contraindicated for any of their conditions either. And because it relaxes and takes away pain, if somebody is also on pain medications, you have to be careful, because now that's
Added.
Doubling
added to
down.
it. Yeah, the potency of that within their body. So, it's just something to be very,
So
very
you
careful
muscle
about.
test for that.
Yeah, you can do that. Now, I can't teach that in that class
No.
on out school though.
How many bottles of medication I have here where the doctor prescribed it and I got home and I held it in my hand and I thought, I'm not taking this. No way, this is not good for my body. And so I set it aside. So I just had that experience 2 days ago. I went to the cardiologist and he said, are you taking blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, why not? Because I don't want to.
What
A whole
is,
boatload of them.
So that goes back to the question too. I mean, a lot of things, of course, are synthesized, and goes back to that testing with the natural vitamin and the synthetic vitamin, but also like in natural substances such as the wild lettuce or the comfrey or anything else that grows, is it not only your body communicating, but is that plant communicating to you as well?
Right.
Like that food, when I went to pick out the frozen beef, frozen raw for Aragon, is that it was a total, and I was not strong like this, but the concept is similar. When the Wicked Witch went to go get Dorothy's shoes and she got zapped and she pulled her hand back. I pulled my hand back and I thought, what? And then I went to go get it again and I felt that same thing. And I thought that I don't like the way that feels. And so that's when I went to the lamb and then I went back and double checked.
lamb's good.
Well, lamb is good, but it was something about, because he's had that beef before.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it might have been the batch. Maybe was it the cow? Was it something in the process? Was it the content of the nutritional value? Something got messed up? Was it because it was frozen and thawed out a bit and refrozen? And
You never
was
know.
the energy of the animal? Was the animal not so healthy? I don't know. It didn't matter. I could sense it. I knew it wasn't going to be good for my dog, so I went with the other one.
Absolutely. Good choice.
And also with him.
Babies.
Could he be, maybe it's him too. Maybe, beef isn't going to be agreeing with him right now for whatever reason. Is it too warm out? And because it's considered, I think it's more considered a neutral instead of a warm or cool food. But maybe it was because of my dog and I'm so in tune with him. He's so in tune with me. I'll be sleeping and they pop into my dreams, all of a sudden, and I've had it happen where I'm dreaming. I wake up and I remember the dream is that Puddles would pop into the dream, looked around like, what am I doing here? Like this, totally surprised. And, and because it was just, it's not, he wasn't like part of the dream, part of my sleep. It was all of a sudden he was there and totally startled, like what just happened? Where am I? So it was very peculiar.
He was sleeping. But
No, I
then
was sleeping.
You were sleeping.
Well, he must have been sleeping too, because he
sleeping, and
popped
then
in.
he finds himself in your dream.
Yeah, it was very weird. So
Our household from the time my children were young was very unusual.
Really?
Very
Why did
unusual.
I don't believe for a second?
Very unusual.
I can imagine a very, not just unusual, but just I would think amazing. Like,
At what
just
age,
awesome.
Carol, did you start realizing that you had
29.
29?
Mhm.
Wow.
How about you, Marina?
When did you start teaching us? 7, I was 7, something like that.
Something like that.
And you know, it too is growing up with the people, you say it's, you know, amazing or whatever, growing up with it, and it really wasn't. It was the 60s and the 70s, and,
Well, it sounds it.
you know, back then is, you know, people were afraid of it. And so I would lost friends
Well,
from this.
it's the establishment.
You know, your mother
type
does the
people.
work of the devil type thing, which
The
is ridiculous, and
establishment
people realize it's
versus
not
maybe the
now,
other
you know,
side
they
of
know.
it during that
Children
uncertain
weren't allowed to
thing.
play with her, you know,
Yeah.
certain.
Well, not just me,
Right.
Jean
You
Marie,
would have,
mine,
yeah.
yes,
Speak
so.
of
Were you-
it, I
were
was
you
shunned
witches?
for
Like you
even
were witches?
seeking it. My grandmother.
No, it was
wanted
because
to,
it's meditation, and they didn't understand really what she was doing, psychic ability and stuff, so they didn't understand, they didn't know, so therefore they're afraid of it. They would react the way people did during the Puritan ages of, which, not as bad, I mean, nobody came over to burn us at the stake or anything.
Oh, well,
But, you know, there was a rejection from,
because you were different. You
well,
were
it was tampering into, you know, not tampering,
the
but it
dark
was,
side
it was,
to them.
no,
It was
a-
anti-Christ, it was anti-Christian.
And the
That's how a
churches
lot of
taught
people-
that
yeah.
was bad, you know, you can't go to a fortune teller or this and that, you know.
Right.
So that's where people get that idea.
And so they were so shocked to find that I was working at Rosary Hill College, a Roman Catholic college, reading for the nuns and priests.
Wow.
They were shocked, you know.
And
And so
sure they
they,
labeled it behind their backs, though.
Do you have other children?
I have a son,
Okay. Does he have?
and
the
I had
same-
another daughter. No, no, whether it's because he's adopted or just his nature, but he really was not interested in learning how to do these things. Both my daughters could do readings, you know. I mean, he accepted it all, was what he knew at home.
And your husband, I mean, if your husband was around, I'm not trying to pry, but I'm just,
Well, I was a single parent for 10 years, and so I very much established who I was, what I would do, what I wouldn't do. And so when Mario wanted to get married, you know, there was an agreement. If you try and stop what I'm doing or in any way interfere or anything like that, you're out of here.
right. I
Yeah,
get it.
but he was very supportive, very supportive. Yeah. In fact, when I would give lectures, he'd go over to people and say, how's she doing?
That's
Is it okay? Was it good?
That's fine.
They didn't know he was my husband, you know, but he was checking to make sure.
Did your brother have any abilities?
He does, yes, but he's an engineer.
And we were just talking about that the other night, weren't we? Yeah, with
Yeah.
him, yeah.
He never says
Virgo.
much about it, that's why.
Yeah. And so he says he doesn't believe in it, but he really does. He worked for this man who he very much admired. And he walked into this man's office one day, and there sitting on his desk is the executive ESP. And my brother said, do you believe in that? He said, oh, yes, absolutely. He said, well, my sister teaches with Douglas Dean, who was one of the authors of the book. Well, my brother was so impressed that this guy, this, you know, someone who he so greatly respected, accepted this reality. How could that be?
So it must be true now,
Yeah,
right?
yes, yeah. And then when his son was killed, I gave a reading on how the trial would go, and it turned out exactly the way I said. And Bruce Kimball got, what's it,
I forgot.
5.5 years, I think. That's what I said.
Hello.
You're there.
You think?
Yeah.
I know you came for your bread, that's what you came for.
Was that in the incident on Culbreth Road, where the guy ran over people?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
That was
He
your
ran-
nephew?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, that was Bruce
Really?
Kimball. He was gonna go. for
Yes,
the
I know, I'm
Olympic
very familiar with
He looked
that.
at diver.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
Yeah, he
was going like
careened into
80 miles an
the
hour.
kids.
down
Yes.
the Sedan Street, high as a kite, drunk. He smashed into this group of teenagers. My nephew was.
I didn't know that.
How long?
Because there was a girl too.
Oh, like in the
And,
80s.
Oh, I can't remember her name, but her parents, I met them too, and I think she was also killed.
Yeah, well, there was a,
Tragedy.
Yes.
my
Oh,
nephew was
awful.
killed and another boy.
Oh, but not a girl?
No, the girl had her leg torn off and she was
Oh,
going to
that could
be,
be it.
she was going to be a physical therapist or a
I
gym
can't
teacher or
remember her
something
name.
like that, yeah.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
That was a horrible, that was
Oh, it's
1988 or something.
Yeah, and it made news around the world because he was going to try out at the Olympics. Bruce Kimball was,
Right.
yeah. But he was a dope addict from age 16.
I did not
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that. So that was your nephew?
Yeah, that was
An
Terry's son.
alleged
Wow.
addict. We're on YouTube.
What's
They
that?
don't allow certain things on YouTube. You have to be careful what you say on YouTube.
What am I saying wrong?
Alleged. Say alleged.
No, he said that.
Okay,
He said it. Bruce
All right.
Kimball said it.
okay,
You know, not me. He said it out in court.
okay.
Anyway, that's the story there. So, when I did that reading, and then he had some experiences after his son was killed that helped wake him up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. What did I miss?
Everything.
A lot, a lot.
Very
It
interesting
was one of them
topic.
I wanted to hear.
We got new lights.
Here's a printout here with some info.
We're past it.
Just putting in here
You
what
know,
time and when
Vicky,
we gather.
Okay, anything else?
And we have topic each month. Oops.
Ricky came for the bread.
Yeah, that's what I
Just got a loaf of bread waiting for her.
I also came to share a couple new menus.
said. Oh, menus.
Yeah, I got them online. I got
Oh.
a menu that people can look at that was,
Wait a minute, we just learned about plants now and what we can eat now.
well, forget all of that.
Because there's a great taco place.
Here's the menu for the Mexican place. When they open,
Oh, not yet.
another week or two.
Oh,
I
fine.
can't wait.
Waiting for
Heard
Amber.
about
And
that.
then here's a menu for Sage Suki Lounge.
Oh, cool.
Sushi Lounge.
Oh, and where is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Well,
And
they're
so
open.
this has.
The
what
Hungry
they have
Greek has
there,
a
which
menu.
They have hibachi.
Okay, so the
and that
next
kind of
topic,
stuff.
the topic for
Anyway,
next
I
month,
printed it
what we
off.
thought,
the,
like,
I'm gonna share that with people. 'Cause I'm sure they want to
About
see
that
it
one,
even more.
French word.
you know how to
The
spell
Hungry
Emoto?
Greek.
Yeah.
That's in the
Dr.
old.
E-M-O-T-O.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's gone?
Uh,
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's been gone. It's a sushi, it's a sushi
So
restaurant.
pass it
It
around.
also has
And
hibachi.
I wanted that.
Oh, no, the Hungry Greek has a menu, because it's a chain, they have their menu at one of their other facilities. It gives you a good idea.
Where is it
Where's
gonna
that gonna be?
I think it's going
Yes,
in
this
where,
is
it's going in.
One of those new buildings?
I think so. Because the sign there, is that where we were today? Well, I had to go to Home Depot today, and when you come in the entrance.
It says coming soon.
By, right by
D
Depot.
Goods
right beside
says,
Depot,
thank
right
you
in
for
that
access to your
median.
Kings Point group meeting today. It's a bit awkward watching from Indiana, but I enjoyed it very much. Hi
Where are they
there.
from in
Oh,
Indiana?
David Good. David Good. Hi, David Good.
Where are they from in
I was
Indiana?
looking for it. I don't know.
If you feel like sharing where you're from in Indiana, David, do you mind putting that in the, we had somebody asking here.
I'm from Fort Wayne.
Oh, okay, Sally's from Fort Wayne.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess if you go like 10:30, 11,
Idlewild David Good. You know what David Good?
And they close at 2.
Yeah, they
David
sell
Good,
their
you know
I
David
have
Good
one.
from Indiana?
Yes.
David Good was, thank you
Uh-huh.
for access to KP group meeting. It did awkward watching from Indiana, but I enjoyed it very much. Hi to all. Hi to all
One night I
there.
was using it.
Hi, dear David. Hi, hi. I'm going to have to schedule a workshop so you can come and be here.
Richmond.
Oh, Richmond, okay. We
Okay,
have,
so when you say awkward, can you describe a little awkward? Is it because of
I mean, Sundays,
my
once a month. too.
professional technical camera
With
skills?
these and,
Or
usually more precious metal.
is it hard to hear certain people if they're further away, or what, just so I have an idea how I can improve on this?
It's hard to find real. And,
Even though I won't be doing this, I'll be watching because we're going back north. So May and June, you'll be here, and then here at the July, well, no, you won't be, unless you're up there by then. I can do it from there with some of our people there. Yeah, you don't,
I don't know. I need
still
to
there in
change
August, so we can go out and then back up
Yes,
here September,
You like them?
October, and then we'll be back.
Well, that's good. I didn't know.
So.
Mine up in
Okay, so
Brandon
right
sold out,
now,
and then the guy-
he said I'll contact you later, thanks.
Okay. I got many other things.
You're a real nice guy, David, she said.
We're friends.
Okay,
Oh,
so,
yes, absolutely.
anybody watches this, if you have any questions at any time, I will check back again and try to answer them. If you have something you'd like to offer and share, do that
And then I
also.
went in
Please keep it positive and nice and.
So when my husband passed away, and I wore my wedding ring for a while, then I thought, well, maybe it's time to go, so I dug around
And with
and I found it
not talking to you,
again.
David, talking to everybody who's watching.
I should.
Everybody behaves when they're
That's near the
talking or
public.
sharing some info or asking questions or anything. Looks like we're gonna close this up just a little bit early here. Thank you everyone for being here. Again,
I
any
can only wear
questions?
gold because I'm.
Put them in the comments. Anything you'd like to offer, ask, or know more about, I can, I'm not sure how to do it, so I don't think I
I got like
can.
3 or 4 pieces that need to be
I don't have this as a PDF right now. Oh, question answer. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, so I can give it information that, actually, you know, I can put down here right now, the names of, I do this sitting down on the floor here. Secret Life of Plants book. Then we
I did too. Same thing happened to me on my wedding ring. But anyway,
put his first name in there, I noticed.
and I thought, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So I
Details, but hold on, and I'll get that. Stefano, the botanist, Stefano.
Amazing. It was a St. Anthony.
I'm not gonna list what his books are, because he's got so
What's the
many.
St. Anthony thing?
And then Pinhorn.
I've lost my
brain.
Pinhorn Garden.
Lost her diamond.
They are
like I
very
lost my
active.
diamond.
They're located out of Scotland. They've been around for a long, long time. Pretty fascinating stuff there. Anything you want to add? No? Carol Ann Liaros is available for psychic readings, mostly over the phone. If you are in and around the Sun City Center area, she does them in person. They are half hour long and they're how much? $150. And And to schedule a reading, they need to call.
My office, 716-879 whatever, or 414. Or email found Ann Liaros at
And further information, I did put on your website here is carolannliaros.com. And meet IKE Series,
Every day. It's like
subscribe,
serious
ring the
and
bell,
everything.
follow along. You'll be able to be notified of each new video that is coming up. Join us, join me, and be part of the whole thing we have going on here. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.
You say you're
Bye,
going
everyone.
nuts in case you don't remember.